Hello! Experienced pilot Peter Mitchell, nicknamed Maverick, tests the latest aircrafts, subjecting himself to overloads, improving his skills over and over again. But his unruly nature and the emergence of new technologies inevitably lead to his retirement, though he has no desire to lose his ability to fly at all. To stay in the sky, he will have to take on the difficult task of preparing a new generation of pilots for a mission that is seemingly impossible to come home from alive. The case is complicated by the fact that the son of his deceased friend is rushing into battle. Will he be able to solve the biggest dilemma of his life? And most importantly, at what cost? Peter Mitchell fixes up an old Mustang in his garage, then hops on his bike to make the trip to the base for another test of the new generation of fighter jets. There, however, he is met by Chief Warrant Officer Coleman, who informs him that Admiral Kane is on his way to shut down the Dark Star program and direct the funds to the development of military drones. The official reason for the shutdown is that the Dark Star has failed to break the Mach 10 speed limit. But since this news is not yet an official order, Maverick decides to let the plane into the skies one last time.
I don't like that look, man.
It's the only one I got.
Coleman feels that the pilot is way too determined and insists that their goal is to reach Mach 10 speed, not more, to knock the trump card out of the command's hands. The Admiral meets the takeoff with a displeased look. Maverick manages to sneak away.
Admiral Kane is asking,
Ordering
that we bring her down.
The Dark Star picks up speed and is already hurtling forward at nearly 10 times the speed of sound. The goal is reached to the applause of the team, but Peter continues to accelerate. The prototype overheats and reaches 10 3/10 Mach, after which all systems fail. A spark gets to the fuel, and the Dark Star turns into the falling star.
Nick, where am I?
After destroying a multi-million-dollar development, no one is going to let Maverick take the wheel again. But an old friend from the Top Gun Academy, Admiral Tom Kazansky, nicknamed Iceman, has put in a good word for him. Peter is ordered back to that very academy to train an elite group of pilots assembled by Admiral Simpson and Bates. Their mission is to destroy a uranium enrichment plant on foreign soil before the dangerous fuel is brought in. The plant is located in a deep trench that a narrow ravine leads to. 4 planes will take off for the mission, 2 pairs, each of which must hit their target. The area is protected by air defenses and the latest generation of jet fighters. To escape from the radar, they'll have to fly very low, looping around the mountainous terrain, and enter a steep dive to reach the target hidden below. But the hardest part is getting out of the trench after hitting the target. The steep climb upward will cause tremendous overloads, and the planes will become easy targets for enemy missiles at that point. Maverick believes that he will lead this suicide mission, but he is informed that he is only here to train other, younger pilots and choose which of them to fly to their certain death. He doesn't agree to that.
Well, let me be perfectly blunt. You are not my first choice. In fact, you aren't even on a list.
Simpson has no intention of tolerating the captain's difficult character, and says that if it weren't for Iceman, he wouldn't even be given this opportunity. Further complicating the task is the fact that among the applicants is Bradley Bradshaw, nicknamed Rooster, the son of Peter's deceased best friend, Nick Bradshaw, nicknamed Goose. He was Pete's navigator and died in his arms in a failed ejection. Maverick blames himself for his death, because on that flight he tried to outrun Iceman on a practice flight and took a big risk, which led to the plane's damage. At a bar, Mitchell meets an old friend, Penny, who he was in a relationship with, but because of Pete's love for flying and constant business trips, things didn't work out between them. Although the girl feels sympathy for the man, she doesn't want to experience the pain of separation again.
It always ends the same with us, Pete. Let's not start this time.
The pilots who have been invited on the mission arrive at the bar. The first to appear are Coyote and Hangman, who is famous for his skills and selflessness, followed by Phoenix, a confident and talented girl pilot with her partners, Fanboy and Payback. With them is the humble navigator Bob, who will fly with Phoenix. When the son of the dead Goose, Bradley, joins them, Maverick rushes out of the bar.
Hangman, the only place you'll lead anyone is an early grave.
The guys clearly compete with each other, practicing different styles of piloting. Rooster, despite his nickname, is more careful and a team player, with a heavy heart. Maverick watches through the window as Bradley plays a song he and his dead father once danced to, on the piano. Training begins, and the pilots gradually develop respect for their teacher, who flies with them and shoots down the youngsters over and over again. Only Rooster is adamant, and clearly angry at his mentor. One day, they have a dangerous duel that almost ends with both of them crashing to the ground. Maverick is reprimanded by his superior for the dangerous maneuvers, but defends his position that the requirements must be changed to prepare the pilots for low-altitude flying. New training exercises start, but no one can pull it off in time.
On this mission, a man flies like Maverick here, or a man does not come back.
Hangman also learns about the death of Rooster's father and hits the man on the sore spot. The team's emotions are on edge. Mitchell becomes desperate and goes to meet Iceman.
There's nothing else they can do. Even speaking is painful now.
Pete makes his way to the room of his old friend, who is sick with throat cancer. Since Rooster is still angry at him and not ready for the mission, Maverick wants to fly in his place. Pete doesn't know how to be a teacher. He's a pilot, and will be one forever. Still, the man won't let his friend's son die either, and if he denies Bradley this mission, the boy will never forgive him.
Either way, I could lose him forever.
But Ice makes it clear, he fought for his friend because he was sure that it was Maverick that the Air Force and the boy who had lost his father needed the most. Afterwards, Pete changes his tactics and arranges for the team to relax on the beach, where they play rugby. This clearly cheers the guys up, although the Admiral is not happy about such a waste of precious time. The enemy has changed their plans, and there are only 10 days to prepare. Penny eventually gives in to Pete's charms, and he tells her that Bradley holds a grudge against his mentor for using his connections to keep him from getting into Top Gun. But the persistent kid graduated from the academy anyway, and only lost 5 years of his life because of Maverick. Turns out, Pete did it because Bradley's mother asked him to. She wouldn't survive the loss of both her son and husband. During training on exiting canyons, Coyote passes out, unable to withstand the overload. He flies down like a rock, and Maverick rescues him by going after the plane and aiming his crosshair at it to trigger a danger signal, which wakes the guy up. Phoenix and Bob get caught in a flock of birds and are forced to eject. Rooster can't bear to keep silent anymore and tries to find out why Pete was putting sticks in his wheels. The man responds that the guy wasn't ready, but now things have changed.
My dad believed in you. I'm not gonna make the same mistake.
Before he has time to answer, Maverick receives the news that Iceman has died of the disease. After the solemn funeral, things take a turn for the worse. Having lost his patron friend, Pete gets suspended from training the pilots.
So they have to believe that this mission can be flown.
And all you've managed to do is teach them that it can't.
Penny empathizes with him, but says that Pete would never forgive himself if anything happened to his mentees. When the Admiral announces new conditions to the crew, reducing the speed and easing the angle of fire, an unknown plane appears on the radar. Peter breaks protocol again to prove by example that his task is doable, and the pilots can withstand the overloads. Reaching top speed, he makes the narrow canyon curves and aims the rockets at the target. The students jump to their feet as they watch the hardest part, the ascent. The rockets hit the bullseye, and the plane exits the canyon in what seems like an impossible time. Maverick handles the task with flying colors, but the Admiral threatens to have him court-martialed for hijacking the plane. However, Mitchell's talent is so obvious and irreplaceable that he is eventually appointed chief pilot on the mission. He will be the one to lead the young fighters. Before leaving, the man says goodbye to Penny. Maverick will lead the way for Phoenix and Bob. He puts Rooster in the second pair, followed by Payback and Fanboy. The day of the mission arrives. In addition to working on the route, they must remember that enemy fighters will be waiting for them. The chances of not returning is very high.
I don't like that look, man.
It's the only one I got.
Shortly after departing from the aircraft carrier, the cruiser launches missiles at the enemy airfield. The fighters bypass the first and second air defense units unnoticed, but 2 planes appear on the radar, guarding the perimeter around the target. The patrol eventually flies past, but Rooster's group is behind schedule. As the missiles hit the airbase, Bradley accelerates and begins to catch up with his mentor. Time for the first dash upward, after which the Phoenix and Maverick enter a dive and lock onto the target. Bob reports an accurate hit, which knocks the defense off the mine. Now it's the second group's turn, but their laser sight malfunctions. The pilots have to launch missiles blind and the underground plant is destroyed. Now they have to go through an overload during the climb, while the Maverick and Phoenix are already under attack by enemy missiles. Payback and Rooster catch up with the first group, and all 4 planes escape enemy fire. They use heat traps, which confuse the pursuing missiles. Bradley has 2 missiles on his tail at once.
I'm out of flares! Rooster, evade! I can't shake them, they're on me!
Saving the boy from certain death, Maverick rushes forward to perform a covering maneuver. He destroys one of the missiles, but the second one hits him directly.
Dagger 1 is hit! I repeat, Dagger 1 is hit! Maverick is down!
Pete's plane is engulfed in fire, loses its tail, and goes down. Hangman from the reserve requests permission to take off from the aircraft's carrier to arrange cover, but is refused. A rescue mission is impossible too. The survivors are ordered to return to base. Rooster hesitates, unwilling to give an affirmative answer. Pete wakes up in the snow to the noise of an enemy helicopter. He manages to hide from the first volley of gunfire, but the helicopter easily enters a position from which a hit is inevitable. Suddenly, the chopper itself comes under attack and is shot down by a rocket from Rooster, who disobeyed orders and came back for his mentor. Left without cover, the guy also gets caught by a missile and catapults himself into the snow-covered forest.
You all right? Yeah, I'm good. You all right? What the hell?
The pilots start with an argument about who is saving who, but quickly realize it's time to stop, as now their only chance of survival is to hijack an enemy plane. At the airfield, they see an old F-14 that might not even make it into the air. In the most audacious way, they walk across the burning runway directly to the plane and start refueling. Peter starts the engines, and Bradley prepares the craft for takeoff and jumps in after. However, the runways are damaged, so Maverick takes another risk. He takes the acceleration from a very short strip, flying so low over the obstacle that the plane loses its front landing gear. But they're in the air now, and that's all that matters. The aircraft carrier picks up a signal from Rooster's outfit, and the rest of the crew realize that they have managed to take off, though they don't know how or what they're flying on yet.
Radio's out. No radar. Everything's dead back here. What do I do?
The two enemy planes approach the fugitives, their pilot signaling something incomprehensible with their hands. Suspecting trouble, one of them flies behind to strike if necessary. Pete teaches the navigator how to eject from the old plane, the same model his father died in. With a sharp maneuver, Maverick attacks the engines of one of the enemies. The second sends a missile, and Pete takes cover behind the first falling fighter. The missile meets its target, but not the one the enemy pilot was aiming for. Now the power ratio is 1-to-1. The second enemy missile is shot down by the flare, and Maverick launches his attack. However, the enemy dodges, and the partners descend closer to the terrain to confuse the pursuer's guidance system. Again, they have to fly through a narrow canyon. Another dash upwards, a dive and a missile launch. But Maverick's last projectile gets shot down by the opponent's flare. All that's left is the old machine gun and 200 rounds of ammunition. Experience becomes the deciding factor, and the last 30 bullets reach their target. The enemy pilot ejects, sending his fighter jet into the cliff. Looks like Maverick and Rooster have accomplished the impossible. But a new enemy meets the friends directly above the sea. There's no chance for cover. Peter commands Bradley to eject, but the mechanism does not respond. They're trapped in a malfunctioning fighter jet, which is right in the enemy's crosshairs.
I'm sorry, guys.
Pete has not managed to save his friend's son, who, like his father, takes the place of his navigator. The enemy fires a missile, but right away a powerful explosion occurs. It's Hangman, who covers his allies and ensures their safe retreat to the aircraft carrier after all. The old wreck with no landing gear and smoking engine lands on the runway. The crew meets their heroes. Maverick is looking for Penny, but it turns out she's gone to sea with her daughter. However, time passes, and she does visit the man in his workshop, where Bradley is helping him. Peter invites Penny into his trusty Mustang and takes to the skies to share them with his beloved. As always, the name of the movie can be found in the video description. In the meantime, let us know in the comments. How would you resolve this moral choice? Would you allow the son of your dead friend to go on a mission? And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video so that more awesome retellings come out as often as possible. Watch an interesting movie in a few minutes without rewind? Easy!
We got a great looking audience tonight.
The Sweet Popcorn channel has a mega convenient format waiting just for you. Short retellings of movies, from auteur films to Hollywood blockbusters. Pick up your unlimited ticket by clicking the subscribe button.